Welcome back to Old School Math. Today we're going to have a look at decreasing and increasing intervals. Now, before we get into this, I want you to note that you should always read a graph like you read a line of text, from left to right. And when we read a graph for a polynomial function, for an absolute value function, for a square root function, we always want to take a look at that from left to right, especially when we're looking at increasing and decreasing intervals. When you look at a graph, you'll either notice the graph increasing, that is, the values going up, or decreasing, the values going down, or just remaining constant. A graph changes from increasing to decreasing or decreasing to increasing at a maximum or minimum point on the graph. Now, this could be a absolute maximum or a relative maximum. Either one would work. Since we're looking at where the y values are increasing or decreasing, we'll study the domain that corresponds to these intervals. So unlike the maximum and minimum values where I said we're just looking at the maximum y value or minimum y value, on this, we're looking for the x values. We want to document the x values that make the y values go up and go down. So let's take a look at a couple examples. I'm going to graph these on a calculator so you can see that there. So on this first one, we've got the absolute value. Keep in mind, absolute value is under math, number, and then abs. So that's going to be x minus 2, and then plus 3. And I'm going to go ahead and draw this on my paper. So that is shifted to the right 2 units and up 3 units. Okay, there's my absolute value graph. Now, what I want to notice on here, what I want to note on this graph is the place where it changes. As we read this from left to right, we see the first little bit of the graph, it's going down, it's decreasing. And then at 2, it starts increasing, okay? So when we're writing our answers here, we're going to write decreasing, and we're going to write increasing. And we're going to write the intervals for each one of these, right? So for the interval, this first interval, from left to right, we're going to go from negative infinity on the x-axis all the way to 2. It's going to decrease over that entire interval. So I'm going to say we're going to go from negative infinity to 2. And the reason I'm going to put parentheses around this 2 is because at 2, it's not really decreasing anymore. It stops decreasing and it starts increasing. So I'm just going to leave that as a parenthesis. And then here, at 2, we actually start to increase, and we increase forever in the x direction. So as long as our x value goes from 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 to 6, etc., that y value is going up. So we're increasing there on the x values from 2 to infinity. Okay? On this next example, we've got the quantity x minus 1 to the third power minus 4. And when we look at this graph, we see, as we read it from left to right, it's going up, it's going up, it's going up. It slows down a whole lot, but then it's still going up, right? So on this graph, it never decreases. It just increases. So we would say it increases from negative infinity to infinity. Now, if we want to actually make this graph on our graph down here, I'm going to actually go to the table. And the reason I'm going to go to the table is my table will give me some nice values that I can put in, okay? So I don't have room for negative 31 on the y-axis. I don't have room for negative 12. But I should have room for this point 0, negative 5. Likewise, I should have room for this next point 1, negative 4. And I should also have room for this next point 2, negative 3. And then I've got room for this next point 3, 4. And this next point is off the graph again. So we're going to see this curve come in here, something kind of like this. Okay? So as I draw my line through this graph here, my pencil's never going down. It's always going up. So for any x value on this interval, it's going to be increasing, even though on the graph, it looks like it really slows down through there. On this next page, you've got some practice that you can do. You've got 10 different functions to check out. And with these functions, You've got some square roots and cube roots and some little exponential here. Just some different ones to look at. It's okay, like on that last one, if you just have an interval that is decreasing or just increasing, you might not have both on every graph. But do those, practice, complete that. I'd like for you to upload that to our Google Classroom page. Let me know if you have questions. I'll be more than happy to walk you through any of these. Have a great day, and again, thanks for watching this video.